Like a bolt from the blue. It's time for a Kingdom Hearts 4 interview. Yes, you heard that right. There is a new Kingdom Hearts 4 interview out, and I'm going to be taking a look at that today. I'm gonna take this off first because it's a bajillion degrees in here. Yeah, so there's a new Kingdom Hearts 4 interview out, and there's probably gonna be like a bajillion people covering this, so I'm not going to go over the entire thing. I'm just gonna give my thoughts on just some stuff in this interview. But let me tell you, from the stuff that I've read so far, my goodness, it is buttery, juicy, spicy, all of the above. Now, this is the article right here, and it's basically Nomura talking more on, obviously, Kingdom Hearts 4, and apparently its future with Final Fantasy, which I actually haven't read about that yet in the interview, but the first couple of paragraphs is just him talking about, like, you know, how's it feel looking back on the past 2 decades? You know, like, how do you keep fans engaged with questions and answers that you bring to the table? What are some of your favorite fan reactions to see? Stuff like that. It's some really cool stuff. We're not really going to go over that specifically today. But I do want to dive into this, starting with whenever Nomura is talking about, you know, some of these other trios, like the Birth by Sleep trio, the Days trio. And I think this is really interesting that he says he didn't think that the characters from these 2 titles would become this popular. I thought that the players wanted to see more of the characters like Sora or Riku. It was kind of unexpected that the characters from these 2 titles were so well received. As far as including them or continuing their story in Kingdom Hearts 4, the story for Kingdom Hearts 4 is focused more on Sora's disappearance. Right. It's a numbered Kingdom Hearts game, and as we all know, every numbered Kingdom Hearts title is going to have Sora as the protagonist. That's just how it's going to be. I'm not quite sure if there will be room to really explore the other character stories as much, but I'm aware, and the team is aware, that these characters are very popular and people want to see more of them. So if possible, it would be great to include more of them or continue to share more of their story in future opportunities. So I'm okay with this, right? Like, I want Kingdom Hearts 4 to be focused on Sora in Quadratum, and if some of these other characters get like some screen time here and there, that's cool. But it's also really cool to see that, you know, he's aware. Like, wow, there's a lot of people that really love Roxas and Aqua and Ventus and like all these other characters. It's cool that Nomura is aware, right? Which means I wouldn't be surprised if we get maybe some kind of non-numbered game after Kingdom Hearts 4 focusing on one of these trios or all these characters or whatever. I personally would love to see like a Ventus game because of all the stuff that we've learned about him with him in Union Cross. The fact that he doesn't remember his past and just how pivotal Union Cross is to Kingdom Hearts, my goodness. Yeah, some more Ventus screen time, that's what I want to see. Another area where we saw Kingdom Hearts popularity surge was seeing Sora in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yes, otherwise known as probably the greatest day of my life. Okay, this is actually really cool. I saw this floating around on Twitter, and it's just really funny to me because everyone was like, oh my gosh, like Disney is never gonna let it happen. But honestly, according to this, it's actually the opposite. And it's funny too, because he also addresses like the feedback and like the things that people had to say when Sora was announced, saying things like, I can't believe Disney okayed him to be in this game. What's funny is Nomura actually gives us more insight on this, and he actually says that Disney was the one who was like, yeah, go ahead. It's a fantastic opportunity. But Nomura was actually the one that was hesitant about putting Sora in Smash. And that puts that whole argument / debate to rest, right? Everyone was like, Disney would never allow it. I can't believe they okayed it. Well, according to this, Disney was okay with it. It was Nomura who was kind of hesitant about it. I think that's really cool. But what's even more interesting to me, and kind of funny in a sense, is the reason why he was hesitant. Nomura said, I thought it would be tough to pull it off because it might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and the Disney worlds. So it was an opportunity I had to consider very carefully. This is really funny to me because now I'm thinking in my head, is Sora's presence in Smash Bros. Actually going to be canon to the Kingdom Hearts narrative? I would not be surprised if that's the case, because that's a very Nomura thing to do. And this line right here definitely it makes me think that, right? I wouldn't be surprised if in Kingdom Hearts 4 that there's, you know, there doesn't have to be much attention given to it, but maybe just a little nod to like Sora getting into Smash Brothers or something like that. I think that would be really cool. So in this paragraph right here, they're talking about Xehanort and how memorable of a villain he is. And this first paragraph is essentially just Nomura saying, yeah, he's a super memorable character, kind of going through how they used Ansem and Xemnas, you know, these two characters who stem from Xehanort, and how they use them to, you know, build up the character of Master Xehanort, then they reveal Master Xehanort, and he's just basically talking about like, yeah, I think we did a pretty good job with it, and I think they did a good job with Xehanort as well. I think he's a fantastic villain. But this paragraph right here is interesting. In the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, we mentioned the Lost Master arc. We're going to be delving into the new enemy figure for the continuation of the story. This new enemy has a lot to do with the masked characters that appear at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, so he's obviously talking about the foretellers, right? They're going to be obstacles that stand in front of Sora. Also, in Kingdom Hearts 2.8, we show what kind of characters they are, so the enemies have already appeared in the series, so I would assume he's referencing back cover, right? The back cover movie that we got with the foretellers and the Master of Masters and Lucio and all that stuff like this. But here's what's cool. He's saying that we'll be reintroducing them, and obviously there will be more new characters as well. I'm very excited for new characters, by the way. I think it's interesting that this is the language that he uses whenever he's saying they're going to be reintroducing them. And maybe that's just because some people haven't watched back cover or experienced Union Cross and like what that story is. So it's like we're going to be reintroducing them to people who actually aren't all super caught up on the lore. But the other thought that I had was, what if we are actually going to see what the foretellers look like, right? What are we actually going to see what they look like under that mask, and are we actually going to see like what their true motives are, and you know, and how those motives are going to oppose Sora's motives, and maybe even see that maybe their motives might actually contradict each other. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of these foretellers who are going to be pitted against Sora actually end up joining him in the long run. I actually love this paragraph a lot because the question that they're asking here is, you feel it's important to keep Sora as the main protagonist, you see the series moving beyond him, and I completely agree with this whole paragraph, by the way. But essentially what he says is, I think Sora's actually the only real candidate for the main character. I think if Sora's no longer the main character, that I would also feel like that would indicate the end to the number of titles. He's that important to the series. And I agree. I feel like Kingdom Hearts would not be what it is, or would not be the same without Sora at the center of it, right? So I actually haven't seen this part of the interview yet. We saw Donald and Goofy in the Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal. One question a lot of fans have is how much will Disney still, how much will Disney still be integral to the series, or how much Disney is there going to be going into the future of this series. With regards to Kingdom Hearts 4, players are definitely going to see a few Disney worlds in there. I just want to mention that they don't need to worry so much about this aspect of the game. It might feel slightly different from previous Kingdom Hearts titles, but once players have had a chance to play the game, I'm sure they'll be relieved to find that it's definitely a Kingdom Hearts title, right? It's gonna feel slightly different because of the setting, right? We are in Quadratum. It's a lot more realistic. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the majority of the Disney worlds in this game are more of these like realistic worlds, like, you know, for example, like Pirates of the Caribbean in Kingdom Hearts 3. I would love to see Star Wars in Kingdom Hearts 4. I know the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer might have alluded at that, but like I would love to see something like that, you know? As far as the graphic qualities, with each new title, the specs have been really increasing, and there's so much more we can do in terms of graphics. It kind of limits the number of worlds that we can create in a sense. That makes sense, right? Because of, you know, what they can do with the technology they have, and because of especially because of the scale that Kingdom Hearts 3 was on, I'm not surprised that there's going to be less worlds in this game. And I'm okay with that, as long as they're solid, you know? Like, the quantity, to me, doesn't really matter as long as the quality is there. And then he's just confirming that there will be Disney Worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4, which, it's Kingdom Hearts, of course there's going to be Disney Worlds in it. So in this little tidbit, I actually want to focus on the second paragraph here, because he talks about the reaction commands. And we know that the reaction commands are making a comeback in some way, shape, or form in Kingdom Hearts 4 because of stuff that Nomura has said, and also just the trailer itself. Felt like fans didn't take it too well, and it wasn't that popular. So in Kingdom Hearts 3, we took that system out, but then the fans said, why'd you take it out? So this is actually really funny, because whenever Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, I do remember that like a lot of people really weren't like huge fans of the reaction command, you know, because it's just like, you know, you just press a button and then things happen, right? It's just press triangle to win. I personally love the reaction commands. You know, of course, it would be cooler to see the reaction command just be more than just a button press, but honestly, I just like seeing Sora do cool stuff. I'm personally happy that they're coming back, and I am interested to see how different they're going to be in comparison to Kingdom Hearts 2. But we'll be spending a lot of time in Quadratum, and does having a more realistic setting give you bigger opportunities to try new things with the gameplay? Okay, I have not seen this yet, so I am interested to see what he says here. I think it'll be a pretty good amount of time since it is set as the initial base within the game. Makes sense. You spend time there and then go to different worlds and then go back there. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be like that hub world of sorts. Because the graphics are more realistic this time around, I feel like there's more of a realistic daily life aspect to Sora's life. You can see him go in and out of his room and spend time there. I feel like players will get to see more of the day-to-day routines he goes through, persona mechanics in my Kingdom Hearts. I would be totally down for that. You know, Sora actually, you know, has to get dressed, right? We can customize his outfit. He has to go to work. Maybe he is a barista at a coffee shop, or he works the drive-thru at a Wendy's. I don't know. You know, it would be cool to like actually like do some of these daily routines as Sora, maybe have them as just like some mini games. You know, it kind of like how the cooking mini game was in Kingdom Hearts 3, except we're actually like working a job, and then so in order to draw the job, you have to be, you're thrusted into a mini game. You know, I kind of like that. And since I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 for like the past forever, it seems like, I definitely think it would be interesting to see like a confidant system. Give me a Strelitzia confidant. Give me a Sigurd confidant. Maybe if you max out their confidants, you can even get like a new Keyblade or something. As far as worlds go, in the past, we featured a lot of Disney worlds, and among those, the most realistic ones were probably Pirates of the Caribbean. We were just talking about this earlier. This time around, we're spending some time in the actual real world. This is a challenge we have for ourselves, just to see how realistic we can make this, and that's something that we're working on right now. For now, we can't really dive into any further details. Okay, so we were kind of talking about this earlier, and I think, like I said before, because of how realistic Quadratum is, we might get more of these realistic worlds in the game. So I have not seen this yet. Fans have been very concerned about the lack of Final Fantasy characters in newer entries. You still want to dial down on the amount of them, or is Kingdom Hearts 4 a chance to bring in more cameos? So Nomura here, he's addressing, yes, there weren't many Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, there actually weren't any at all in the base game. They only popped up in Remind. One thing I want to clear up is that a lot of fans are saying Kingdom Hearts is this collaboration between Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters, but really, that's not the basic concept of Kingdom Hearts. That's not exactly what Kingdom Hearts is. When we released the first title, we had only a few original Kingdom Hearts characters. When they were interacting with, really well-known, beloved Disney characters, I felt like nobody really knew these new characters, so it was harder for them to stand their ground. And so, we had a lot of Final Fantasy characters involved to lend a hand for everyone to get to know these original Kingdom Hearts characters. I'm so glad that he's talking about this, because that's like a massive complaint, especially nowadays, especially after Kingdom Hearts 3, like, where are the Final Fantasy characters? But like, here's the thing, this is Kingdom Hearts, it's not Final Fantasy. It's cool to have those cameos in the game, but like, it doesn't surprise me that they're not gonna have as heavy as a presence as they did in Kingdom Hearts 1, for example, because now Kingdom Hearts has established itself. There's so many original Kingdom Hearts characters to explore and get to know, and it's, you know, we don't really, I don't know if I want to say we don't need Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts, but what I am trying to say is Nomura's right whenever he's saying it's not a collab, like this collab between Disney and Final Fantasy characters. Like, Kingdom Hearts is its own thing with its own characters. And so, although it is cool to see these Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters in the game, that's not the point of it, right? Kingdom Hearts is Kingdom Hearts. It has its own story, it has its own characters established, and if they don't have any Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 4, I'm okay with it, right? I mean, as much as I would love to see some, right? I'm okay with it because I don't play Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy. I play Kingdom Hearts for Kingdom Hearts. With Kingdom Hearts 3, since we did have so many original Kingdom Hearts characters, it was hard to find room for including more Final Fantasy characters. We're trying to find a good balance for that. I know that some fans were concerned about that and weren't too happy and wanted to see more Final Fantasy characters. That's something we definitely are thinking about, but just with the sheer number of original characters that we have now, it's hard to say what the exact balance is going to be and how it will play out in Kingdom Hearts 4. At least he's being honest and he's listening, right? At least he's, you know, looking at the responses from fans of all the people who were complaining about no Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3, and actually thinking about that, you know. And like I said, it doesn't really matter to me of how heavy a presence Final Fantasy is in Kingdom Hearts. I just want Kingdom Hearts 4 to be good. Yeah, I just want the game to be good. That's all I care about. You want to give one final tease for fans about what they can look forward to? Okay, I haven't seen this yet, so this should be interesting. With regards to Kingdom Hearts 4, unfortunately, there's not any new information that I'm going to be able to share for a while. But if people could really dive into this interview that we had today, I did reveal a little bit of new information and more details during this conversation. That's what we're doing right now. So he is talking about Missing Link here. We're working towards launching the closed beta within the year. I know that not everybody is really into smartphone games, so some fans might not be really excited for it. We're making it so that it's something that anyone can jump right into. Compared to our past mobile releases, it's a lot closer to series and also connected in many ways to Kingdom Hearts 4. That's some big information right there. I mean, we know that, yeah, of course, Missing Link is going to connect to the overall narrative of Kingdom Hearts, but the fact that he says it's going to connect in many ways, not just one way, in many ways to Kingdom Hearts 4 is very interesting, because we also know now that Sigurd is in Kingdom Hearts 4, and the only time we saw Sigurd in this entire freaking series was at the very end of Union Cross, and so we're absolutely going to be seeing more of him. The easiest way to get more new information and hints about Kingdom Hearts 4 will be first to play Missing Link. There will also be some more mysteries not related to Kingdom Hearts 4 specifically, but just throughout the series in it. Also, some figures that appear in Missing Link are tied to Kingdom Hearts 4. That's all I can really say. So Missing Link is going to be relevant to what's to come. That's expected, right? You know, I'm very excited to see what Missing Link is going to actually entail and to see all the theories floating around from Missing Link and how, you know, what people are going to pick out from Missing Link and how they're going to try to connect it to Kingdom Hearts 4. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we're in this, I feel like, this new golden era for Kingdom Hearts where, like, I feel like, and I've said this before, but, like, I really feel like Kingdom Hearts is the most exciting it's ever been right now. And I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be way crazier than we think. Well, that's it. What did you guys think about this interview? Let me know your thoughts and theories down below. And as always, if you would drop a like on the video, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps your boy out a lot. And I'll definitely be on the lookout for more Kingdom Hearts goodness in the future. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.